Okay, so right here I'm actually mixing like a light flesh tone with some purple maybe and some blue. Real light. It's actually, I think what I'm using is that dirty white that I've been mixing that brown and blue into the whole time. And just using that straight. The back is I'm just blocking it in, just trying to get that shape there. I'm not trying to be perfect, just trying to get that shape there. Just really paying attention to the value. Right here I'm using that olive, man. That olive's awesome. A little bit of olive, a little bit of red in there. Just trying to mix it. Very little red, but little olive, little red. Just using that 17 mag bug pin. And just really trying to get that in there. His skin was pretty much pissed off at me at this point, just really trying to just block it in. He's in a little bit of pain, just trying not to kill him. So just trying to make it look good. I really wasn't sure what I was doing, man. I just kind of blocked in those green shapes and just kind of went with it. A lot of times I just go with the feeling, I don't really overthink things. I think to overthink things hinders you, you kind of just don't let things happen. Sometimes I let go and just follow whatever happens with what I'm looking at. I don't just go perfect. A little bit more Bactine, help them out. And honestly, like this happened. Like I knew I was gonna do some kind of ray or some kind of something, but I really didn't know that I was gonna come out with like this spike shape. It just kind of formed that way, and I just kind of kept looking at it and looking back and seeing it. And I just went with it. I was like, wow, that looks cool, and I think that I like it. It wasn't planned out. So just really trying to make it look cool. Yeah, and then I added this one, and I really didn't enjoy that. It looks off. Like if you look at it, it just doesn't go right. So I ended up covering a little bit, making it look like going distance a little bit more, a little further back, and just trying not to make it perfect. I wasn't too happy with that little area, but the rest of them I'm really happy with, and I'm sure down the line when I add more to the leg, I'll go into it more. But I didn't want the background to be too crazy. I wanted it to be real simple, almost like graphic. So yeah, so now I'm having fun, man. These are clean gloves, clean hands. I'm just putting out some colors. So I'm putting out some, I think, peachy flesh. I put out some, what was it, creamsicle or Georgia peachy flesh, and I don't know what the other one is. The other one's like a light flesh color from like Intense or something. So just mixing a little bit of red into that, mixing a little dark flesh from a Fusion in that. And now just trying to get that cheekbone in there, get it into light. Just really trying. I needed to be a little bit lighter. Little Georgia peach, little peachy flesh. Mixing this color in there, getting this cool little flesh tone in there. Yeah, that's a cool color right there. I like that mixture. This is the fun part to me. Now I can do all the light side, everything in light. It makes it really fun to me. So yeah, I'm really just trying to clean that machine out. The machine's probably dropping out a little color. Usually what I don't do, which I should do, and you guys should think about, is the back of the tube has all kinds of ink in it, and when you get it wet, it makes it all dirty, so sometimes you get in there and it just starts getting dirty, But yeah, man, this is the fun part. Now I'm just spraying the bottle, I clean the bottle off and put it on top of the desk since I know I'm going to use the whole bottle of Bactine and just going to toss it anyway, so I just put it on the thing there and just spray my brother down every once in a while so he can, have a little bit of help. He's going through a lot. So yeah, just trying to get them shapes. Right here, I'm really paying attention. The cheekbones always have this cross. If you look, you can see the cheekbone, and then you can see where the top of the teeth, like underneath the nose is. So I'm really trying to separate that. You can see how I'm like not going just straight across. There's actually like a cross there underneath the cheekbone, or underneath like on the cheekbone actually where it's in light. You can see how it has like that little light source. That light part where it's a little darker where the bone is and where it comes back up over the teeth. So yeah, now I'm just going, this is my hand speed now, just so that way you see it. Like you went the whole time already and just kind of seen it sped up. I just wanted to kind of show you hand speed at the very end and show you what it looks like. Really trying to make the right decisions here. Value is really important in this part. I wanted him to show you real close when we were shooting this, just kind of what's going on. I'm not perfect. My line work isn't the most perfect. I don't really think that technically like I'm like the best tattooer or anything like that. It's just it's more just drawing for me and stuff like that. I'm trying to do clean lines, things like that. But for these pieces, I'm really just trying to make it the best I can for what I see. Yeah. So right now I'm just using like peachy flesh from Eternal. That's a great color. It's one of my favorite colors right now for these color portraits, and I use it all the time. Actually, this looks like Georgia peach, and there's a little bit of brown and red there, so I'm just kind of going, and I'm just showing you like my hand motion. This is pretty much the whole tattoo is about this speed in reality. Now you can see why it takes me so long. I always lay the lines down first, and then I just go right over them. I just really try to pay attention, maybe try not to overwork it. Usually these heal up great. I've done a bunch of them, and I really haven't seen one heal up really bad. I mean, knock on wood, that they keep healing up great. But yeah, you can see even the color goes into those lines a little bit. It doesn't even matter. It knocks it back a little bit. I kind of enjoy that stuff. I like stuff that happens like that, little accidents. It doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't need to be 100% perfect. It's a tattoo, and if I need to touch it up, I will. But as far as for the first pass and stuff, this is kind of the way I gotta lay it out. Unless I was just gonna outline the whole thing and then go into it again on a second pass and color it. But either way, I'd have to go over the lines. I could do the line work at the end, do the whole portrait, but it really wouldn't work the same. I'd rather do it this way with the line work and kind of go over it. That way, it does lighten up in value in certain spots and darken up, stays dark where it needs to stay dark. So yeah, you can kind of see me just building it up here, and I'm going into like that peachy flesh into a little bit of white, and just really paying attention to my movement. Yeah, I'm using that FK iron, and this machine's really pushing that ink, man. It's really pushing that tube and needle. It's running great. I was really happy with the way that machine ran that day, and I think I'm running it off an Icon power supply. The Icon power supply is one of my favorite. But when I travel, I use a small little pulse power supply. It's really small. It runs great, runs my rotary. That's all I really care, is because I use rotaries with traditional machines all the time. I actually learned about rotaries from using Numas, as if you watched my older DVD or whatever. I use Numas with it, and it was good, but I just wanted to show you guys, what I usually use is coils and some rotaries. That's usually what I use every day, and I love them, man. I love my coils and I love my rotaries a lot, and Numas are awesome too. But this is usually what I stick with right here is, my coils. I'm going to be doing another DVD, and it's going to be part of this. So it's going to be a black and white Dia de los Muertos DVD. So you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about with value and just paying attention, and be a little bit more simple. Probably something very similar, probably the same, like similar face, similar shape, similar drawing. That way you can kind of, see them together, kind of. They're going to go together. But now I'm just trying to get all into the light side, just really paying attention to the shapes. What's funny is, like, a lot of times you look at the picture and you can barely see the value change. Man, those are my favorite parts, the very, very minor subtleties of the light source, because light's very hard to get right. Sometimes you could just make something look very flat by just putting one light color through the whole thing. I like the little bit of difference with the values. I like a little bit of change. And you can see kind of how I put on this this Bactine. Like I said, that Bactine bottle will be thrown away. I won't use it again. You want to make sure you're very clean, paying attention, that you're not going to hurt anyone or hurt yourself or, anything like that. I mean, you're dealing with blood and you're dealing with a lot of things like that. You want to think about cleanliness and really paying attention, taking care of your clients. And also what's real important is taking care of yourself. You don't want to harm yourself and take it back home to your family or anything like that. So it's really important. We are dealing with blood, and, you really gotta respect that. So now I'm just going to use a little bit of tangerine just to put in around the makeup, around these eyes. I'm using an 8-round right here. I'm using that shag-built rotary. It's an awesome rotary. Runs really slow, has a good punch to it. It's really strong. It's a strong machine. If you turn it up, that thing is going to pound that stuff in there. But I tend to run it really low, really soft, just enough so I can move real slow and just slowly build this stuff. And I mean, you can see, look, it's going right in there, man. This thing is awesome. This is a really super loose 8-round. I can use a loose 8-round. I can use a loose 5-round, loose 7-round, a loose 9-round. Any of those would work for this. But I'm using a loose 8, and I tend to use those a lot. So I enjoy the rotaries. They're a little light. That's why I like using the meters. I use a pulse with a meter. I use an icon with a meter, so that way I know how fast they're running. It tells me how much volts are going to them. You know, I usually run this shag built rotary probably around 6, maybe honestly anywhere between like 5 and 8, depending on how fast. But right now I'm probably using about 6.5, you know, something like that, 7. Not too hard, but making sure it's a consistent movement, making sure that it's not going in too deep, really paying attention, you know, to how it is and how it looks, you know. So yeah, I'm just going through it and trying to make it look solid, and I'm actually in those little areas that I'm leaving open because I'm not trying to make these completely solid. I'm going to do a little bit of white or flesh tone highlights. I've been doing that with my the makeup that I've been doing on these girls, and it's been fun, you know, just trying to make it look embedded in the skin, you know. I think it's cool. But these 8 rounds and 5 rounds are standard taper number 12 needles, or long taper number 12 needles. I really don't pay attention to it too much. Actually, what I've been messing with a lot lately, is number 4 bug pins. I mean, not number 4, 00 bug pins, but 4 round needles, and they've been working really well. This is one thing you really want to pay attention to right here. I'm using this 8 round, and I'm knocking in the shadow area in the eyes. You know, people tend to make the eyes white in the eyes. Eyes aren't white. You know what I mean? The whites of the eyes around are not white. They have shadows on them. They are light, yes, but you do want to knock in them shadows. If you make them solid white, man, that thing is going to look like a zombie. It's not going to look right. So you really want to pay attention to those shadows and really kind of put them in there, you know, and make them look right. So right now I'm just putting a little bit of Bactine on there, trying to help them out. And also helps me clean it up. Put a little green soap on my towel, paper towel, and put a little bit of Bactine on there, and then clean it off, you know. So that way, you know, it kind of helps them out and doesn't give them a bunch of pain. So getting very close now. You know, I did all the light side of flesh tones. I need to still stick whites in there in the face. I'm actually making it move a little bit. And I'm probably going to start knocking in lights and doing the eyes, you know, trying to get the eyes in there and really making them look the way they need to. So yeah, so you can see here I'm just packing in that white, man, just trying to get that white. Maybe I'll probably boost the contrast in the background later, but you know, for right now I'm just going to do it the way it is and let it heal and then go back through it later. But I was looking at the rays and they just looked unfinished to me, so I actually grabbed some yellow ochre, some yellow that I had there, and kind of brightened it and faded it off into the skin. I actually like a little bit more of a glow that I have. So this is kind of how I put some Bactine. I actually put a paper towel over there, make sure it's on there, make sure it's real. It usually helps them a lot. So I went through the eyes. I put a little bit of green in the eyes, detailed them up a little bit. You can see me just kind of going through there. Now I'm darkening it and just trying to make the eyelids look more realistic, look more right. I'm adding a little bit of eyelashes to them. Really paying attention not to go into the white. You know, making sure my needles hung out a little bit further. Added these little dots in there. It looked unfinished. I didn't like the way the spider web looked, so I just added that because I wasn't too happy with the way it just finished. So that's kind of things I say, like you just kind of go on the fly and just kind of make it up and change things, you know. That's the fun part about this. I'm doing the portrait, but I'm also have creative freedom with it and get to have fun. But now I'm putting the light values into the nose, light values into the eyes. I'm putting them flesh tones into the forehead. Really just trying to make it look right. I'm just like tightening it up, doing the detail I need to do, you know, to really make it look finished and make it look right. Remember, the most important things are value, drawing, you know. Color is the last thing you want to think about. But it is good to try color once you do learn value and really try to pay attention to, you know, using different colors. So right here I'm using a little bit of white, and I left a little gap, so I'm kind of just making it look like it's carved into the skin. You know? So now I'm just trying to keep my white clean. You know what I mean? I'm really rinsing my machine out, really rinsing my tube out, really cleaning that thing off to make sure my whites are clean. So now I'm just going in there, knocking in them highlights into the lips. These are the most important ones. You know, if you're going to stick highlights anywhere, you know, you want to put them in the lips and eyes and nose. I mean, that's what I do. You know, I think it's the most important parts. I tend to go a little crazy with white on these pieces because even though the whole face is solid and everything's going to tone down. It may look a little bit more crazy when I'm finished, but when it heals, it just has a slight little looking like it's carved into the skin. So I try not to overdo it, but sometimes overdoing of white is very easy to do, and unfortunately we all do it. But right here I'm just putting a little bit of white into the upper lip and just trying to make it look good and nice. And then I put that little white highlight, maybe it's even a little gray, kind of dotted up and just kind of faded off into the skin. I like the way that looks. And there's also a little bit of white here. You can see, like, sometimes decisions aren't the best. I put too much white right there, and you'll see me later go back into it because I wasn't quite happy with that, and it needed a little bit more of a transition, so I'll take my bag and just kind of clean it up because it just was too much for right there. So this kind of stuff, I left those little gaps because I want these to stand out a lot, and I just like for it to look carved into the skin, so like it's a part of her, not just makeup. So yeah, just putting these white highlights, making sure I'm paying attention, being very careful. I mean, this 5 rounds is very powerful in this rotary, but I'm really enjoying this rotary. I jump around a lot with machines, but I do it for the reason because it teaches me so much. Sometimes, man, you gotta try everything. You gotta try things. Unfortunately, sometimes it's permanent, but if you're a good artist or a good tattooer, you'll be able to really make better decisions. And if something's chewing something up, or if it's overworking, or if it's too much, so you can stop using it. Those are the things we have to judge ourselves. But I mean, if I don't like something, I won't use it anymore. I won't ever use it. But if it's something I enjoy and makes me excited to tattoo, it's like a new toy. I think it's one of those things that keep me excited on tattooing, keeps me excited on learning. And I love new toys. I mean, it's my job, my hobby, and my love at the same time. So I really enjoy getting new things for it, trying new inks, trying new machines, new power supplies, everything, just everything, trying new techniques, painting and trying new techniques with this. So really search outside of the box and really try to make yourself, learn. And you can see here, I love tattooing. I just really do. And I love art. So hopefully you guys feel the same, and you try to do your best. But yeah, this rotary is awesome. I'm really enjoying using it, and I switch all the time, man. Sometimes I'll use just all coils. Sometimes I'll use all rotaries. Sometimes I'll use all swash stripes. Just really it's just how I feel that day. I mean, I love jumping back and forth. I want to have an educated opinion on all these things. Even Numas. I'll use those once in a while and just kind of see. And they feel great, man. Like when you jump from one machine to the other, sometimes you just feel great. It just feels so good to get out of that box for a little while and try something different and new. So yeah, I'm just kind of adding little white highlights, really paying attention to where they're at, trying not to add too many, trying to make these eyes look glossy, have a little bit of emotion, trying not to overdo it, overwork it, just taking my time, making my decisions, making sure I'm happy with the decisions I made. Because these are forever. This is a little yellow highlight right there in the eye, a little one right there in the eye. Really paying attention to it, So hopefully you guys are enjoying this DVD, and hopefully you guys learn a lot. So right now I'm getting that little bit of the yellow. You can see I put way more colors out now. So yeah, under the eyelid I always leave this little gap. And at the very end, I usually do it too. I usually do it before I do the white. I don't know why I waited, but this time I guess I waited, and it's fine as long as I don't wipe it into the white. But I put it right underneath that eyeball and above the eye lid, just to show that little gap of skin. Because if there was makeup, there'd be that dark line underneath the eyelid, and there'd be that pinkish, fleshy color that would always be wet and that would never, have makeup on it. So you really want to show that there's that real living human being under there, because this girl didn't have makeup on. You have to make the makeup on, make it up. So you have to really think about those things. You have to think more in depth, what would this really be like, or what would it look like if she was wearing this, So using a little bit more yellow, and just kind of adding those little highlights into the eyes, making them a little bit more believable, a little bit more cool, and just giving that emotion, that feeling. That's the most important part of this piece of the eyes. people just recognize and familiarize with that because that's what they look at all day. They look at people's eyes all day long. So yeah, just adding, I like to do a lot of dots. I do a lot of dots. Now I'm going underneath the eyelid because the way that the skin rolls and rolls around that eyeball. So, how it looks. So I'm just kind of adding little white highlights around there. Real quick, nothing real opaque, just enough. And now I'm using probably like a white, maybe a little flesh tone mixed in there. It's not something so crazy. But I like doing this stuff. I just try to be real gentle with it. Nothing real crazy. Just kind of packing in there real fast and getting out. Trying not to go over my line so that way I don't dig a ditch. Just trying to make it real tight to it, real crisp. I usually don't do this with a lot of my pieces. A lot of times I use a lot of soft edges, like you do in the like I did in the drapery. As you can see, I use a lot of soft edges in the drapery to kind of knock that back, knock it out of focus. And then, everything else is tight. All the makeup's tight. The face is tight. Really makes you look at her face. Nothing's really taking anything away from the face, trying to make those decisions. So this is the final wipe down, and this is the tattoo. It took about 8.5 hours. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully it gave you a different perspective on this, and have a good night. Thank you. I just finished the Dia de los Muertos tattoo. It was about 8.5 hour tattoo. It went really well. The skin was real good. The colors went really well. The only thing that I covered that I think had a problem with more was the 5 round. It seemed like it was wanting to cut, so I had to really be careful with like laying the lines in there and not going too slow. So I had to actually mess with that a little bit and kind of make it work with it. Overall, the tattoo was fun. There was a lot of creativity in it because having to deal with the shape and value of the socket's nose to make them dark is one of the hardest things. But once you know and you kind of have an idea, then it helps you out. It went really well. Hopefully when you do it, you don't have the problem with the 5 round. But hopefully you learn something off of this information that I've given you on this DVD. I pretty much covered everything I do. Make sure that if you are going to attempt something like this, you draw it first and make sure you can draw it first because it is permanent on people's bodies and you don't want to make a permanent mistake. Everyone makes mistakes, but the least amount of them that you can make, the better you are. Make sure to keep an eye out for more DVDs coming from Black Anchor Collective and more DVDs from friends of mine that are going to be involved with helping people learn and education in tattooing. These tattoo DVDs are not meant for the beginner. These are meant for professionals that have been tattooing. So there is no setup and there is no teaching of how to tattoo. What there is teaching is just technique, and if you are a professional, you will understand these things I'm talking about. I'd like to say thank you to everyone that's helped me learn along the way. There's so many names that I could mention, but as far as the people out there, who you are that have helped me learn tremendously. People I've worked with, people that I've had the chance to meet, people I've really looked up to. I've told you who you are. Thank you very much again. Got love for all you guys. Thank you for watching. This is Nico Hurtado at Black Anchor Collective. Good night.